Welcome back to another Hey guys, I'm your host Drew Harrison. Thanks for joining me on this rainy Tuesday here in Nashville. Hope the weather's better wherever you're at. We got a fun show for you. We got comedy and sports and comedy. We got a top 5 80s cartoons this week, so that's going to be fun. 80s kid, really 90s kid, but I caught the tail end of the 80s, and they had some bangers in the cartoon world. And then we got What You Eatin', where we're trying some of the World Cup chips that Lay's has put out. Yeah? All right. R.I.P. to rap pioneer Rob Bass. You might know him from his song It Takes Two. He passed away after a battle with cancer. So thoughts and prayers to family and friends of Rob Bass. We truly lost an icon. Jim Henson's Creature Shop is now open to the public. Jason Weber, the shop's creative supervisor, has said that the tours that are starting at about $150 per person is really a behind-the-scenes look at all of the people that bring these creatures to life. You know, the unsung designers and costume creators and just people that make the Muppets, man. It'd be cool to see. You know, Jim Henson died in the early 90s, so it's cool to see his team carry on his legacy. It caught me off guard when I found out Sesame Street was also Muppets. You know, because, I mean, you're a kid. It's hard to understand things. Snuffleupagus was my dude, though. It's my favorite. What's your favorite Muppet? Let me know in the comments below what's your favorite Muppet of all time. You got Fraggle Rock, you got Sesame Street, you got the Muppets. Can even be a Muppet baby. Just let me know what your favorite Jim Henson creation is. The Enhanced Games happened in Vegas over the weekend. It's where no drug testing. You could be as juiced up as you wanted to. They competed in swimming, weightlifting, and track and field. Immediately off gates, just know that all of the runners' times would have done terrible in the last Olympics. You got $1 million if you broke a record, because of course your record's not going to count, you know, because you're roiding. But the only one that got the $1 million was a swimming sprinter, Christian Kolomev. We'll just stick with that. But there was 2,500 people in attendance. No tickets were sold to the event. Just the CEO just handing them out to his friends. And he did say this is just the beginning. So more Enhanced Games to come, even though it seems like the rumblings on the internet, no one cared. Quinta Brunson, you might know her from Abbott Elementary. She is developing a new Betty Boop movie. She is partnering with Betty Boop's creator, his grandson, Mark Fleischer. And I'm excited about it. You know, I love old school cartoons. I love when they get a new adaptation. The new Looney Tunes is fantastic. If you're not watching that on Cartoon Network in the morning, what are you doing with your life? I agree with the Pope. Didn't see that coming in 2026, although I do like this Pope, you know, just seems like a real dude from Chicago. You know, he's a White Sox fan, so nothing's going to catch him off guard. So, and he sent out this manifesto. I don't know. Can you call it a manifesto if it's not from a serial killer? But he basically was saying we need to regulate AI, that God put us on this earth, not computers. So I wholeheartedly agree with him. It's getting out of hand, and it needs to be stopped. But the most rich and powerful people in the world are pushing it, so who's going to stop it? I do love that all these CEOs around all these colleges are getting booed in these commencement speeches, just bringing up AI. So keep it going, youths. Also, this comes on the heel of Neo about to drop their at-home robot. You can already put a $200 deposit on one now, and they sell for $20,000, and they're set to like fold laundry. They can carry stuff. Starting to look like the beginning of the end. Ariel Winter has split with her hubby, and she's roommates with her old co-star, Nolan Gould. Like, that's awesome. I love that she could turn to her on-air brother in a time of need, you know, and I loved Modern Family, so it's just cool to see that they're still there for each other years after the show's over. So that's awesome. You can find a true bond in Hollywood these days. It's cool. Killer Mike is helping other people get home ownership for the first time. He has launched a program in Atlanta where it's a rent-to-own basis where you can lease your home with the hopes of owning it one day. Still insane to me that celebrities do way more for us than our actual elected government officials. But like I said, we got a great show for you. Up next, we got What You Eatin'? We're back with another What You Eating Guy, and it is World Cup Chips Edition. I didn't get all the flavors, but I got the two that stuck out the most to me. But Lay's is dropping some different signature flavors in honor of the World Cup. So I got the Argentinian style steak with chimichurri and the Brazilian style garlic sauce. We got Argentina versus Brazil here, which we might get in the World Cup, and it'll be a banger. All right, going Argentinian style steak and chimichurri first. It says savory, meaty, and herby crispy crunch. I'll be damned, that tastes like a steak with chimichurri sauce on it in a chip. That's insane how they got those flavors in that. You get the herbiness of what you feel like would be in a chimichurri, and then sure enough, you get steak flavor. Like, it tastes like I'm eating a steak right now. Like, obviously my brain's like, you're not eating a steak, dummy, but it tastes like one. I really like that. That's not one that you can eat a lot of because it is, a pretty potent flavor, but in a good way. But like 10 chips would be good for that. Like, you need a little, you need to put it in with some other snacks for sure. All right, Brazilian style garlic sauce. I love all things garlic. Oh, that's a problem. That tastes like they took Papa John's garlic sauce and put it on a chip. This is fantastic. You know, this is really good in a small quantity way, the steak with the chimichurri. I'm about to kill this whole bag, though. This is ridiculous. I hope they keep this around, because this might be in my heavy rotation of chips in the house. This is phenomenal. Oh my God, garlic sauce on a chip. Why have we not done this earlier? Papa John's, where you at? They just stole your flavor. It's top 5 time. I was born in the 80s, so I got my original love for cartoons with amazing characters and awesome storylines. Yes, most of them were to sell us a toy line. Yes, I fell for it hook, line, and sinker. No, that doesn't diminish how awesome these cartoons are. So let's do top 5 80s cartoons. Now remember, this is not based on ratings or popularity or anything. This is my list. This is the shows that molded my young 1985 born mind. And there's plenty of cartoons that were airing in the 80s that didn't start in the 80s, so I didn't count those. So this list, they had to start in the 80s, and they had to be influential to this guy. And I'm definitely going to leave some out. I had to draw the line somewhere. There's so many great cartoons that came out in the 80s. Unfortunately, y'all can go ahead and be mad at me all you want to. No G.I. Joe or Transformers. Okay, I respect them. Just weren't in heavy rotation in my house. I think the only Transformer thing I had was like this little car that my Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter action figures rode around in. You know, I had to go back and play with toys again. It was the best. Honorable mention, it is Dino Riders. Do y'all remember that show? Oh, I love it. The battle between Valorians and Rulons to sell toys again. They were from the future, but they were back in time. I don't know, man, but it was a perfect mix for this kid. I loved it. It was just dinosaurs with like lasers fighting other dinosaurs with other lasers. It was great. Also, an honorable mention is Garfield and Friends. It was a big cartoon on Saturday mornings. You know, Nermal, Odie, Sweet Trust, and John Arbuckle. That lovable. I don't know why. I do not know why. Cat named Garfield. Also, Orson's Farm, like the subplot on the cartoon that they would show the B-roll of. It was fantastic, too. All right, getting into the countdown. Number 5, we got the Smurfs. You got Clumsy Smurf, you got Greedy Smurf, you got Natural Smurf, you got Angel Smurf, you got Harmony Smurf, you got my favorite, Lazy Smurf, Painter Smurf. So many more Smurfs living it up with Smurfette and Papa Smurf. Just trying to avoid Gargamel, you know? Just a Belgium cartoon on Saturday morning. But it was also one of the longest running and most successful Saturday morning cartoons of all time. It almost ran the entire 80s. So, respect to the Smurfs. At number 4, it's DuckTales. Ooh. Just an iconic theme song. Gets stuck in my head all the time. Show was great about Huey, Dewey, and Louie and their eccentric bajillionaire Uncle Scrooge McDuck. But I've always been more entertained by Launchpad. Launchpad was my dude, man. He always messed things up, but like with style. The villainous Beagle Boys were great too. Truly one of the few things from Disney I loved as a kid. Number 3, it's Muppet Babies. Muppet Babies, you make our dreams come true. Theme song straight out of 50s doo-wop. I would get so hyped when that theme song would hit. And then you never saw the nanny. You just saw her from the knees down, just taking care of the little Muppets. That they would grow into be such iconic characters. It's weird to say that it was relatable content back then. You know, they had wagons and tricycles, and it's just where I was in the time of my life. Baby Rolf and his piano were my absolute favorite. God, what a great character. Number 2, it's The Real Ghostbusters. This is really 1B to what cartoon is sitting at number 1. Like, I loved the Ghostbusters. I had the full suit. I had the proton pack. I had the action figures. I lived, breathed, and played Ghostbusters. And as cool as the movies are, the cartoon was just way better to me as a kid in the late 80s. So I respect and enjoy the movie way more as an adult. But if you ask 1989 Drew, the cartoon was king. And that leads us into number 1 on the countdown this week. My favorite 80s cartoon of all time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you were to ask me, Drew, what was your personality in the 80s? It was a little bit of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a little bit of Ghostbusters. That's it. Like Egon mixed with Michelangelo. That was old Drew Harrison in the 80s. If you ask me any question, you're probably getting a quote from one of those cartoons, to be honest with you. It was my main vocabulary growing up, was Cowabunga and Proton Pack. I thought Michelangelo was just the coolest character ever created. Too bad I always would hurt myself with the nunchucks. Just never took. So that is my countdown. That is my favorite 80s cartoons. Please let me know what your favorite were. I'm not talking popularity. Like, don't come at me with the G.I. Joe and the... What is your favorite? You know, look in your heart of hearts and you say, what brought me the most joy sitting in front of my TV on Saturday morning watching cartoons? All right. All right, now let's talk some sports. Arsenal are your Premier League champions for the 2025-2026 season. Also they're in the finals of the Champions League, so we don't know if they're going to bring home some more hardware. Aston Villa winning the Europa League. It is their first trophy since 95-96 League Cup. That's insane. So shout out to them. Crystal Palace playing in the Europa Conference final, so it could be a clean sweep for old England in Europe soccer this year. Tottenham avoid relegation. They won their last game, so West Ham joins Burnley and the Wolves as the 3 out. So soccer season is coming to a close, but we still got some great matchups coming your way. Aaron Rodgers confirms this will be his last season in the NFL. Thank goodness. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of the Aaron watch every year when the season ends and we have to sit on our thumbs until we know he's going to play or not. So he always waits a little bit longer each year. So I'm glad we don't have to speculate next year. We'll be Aaron Rodgers-less season next year. One more. We just got to make it through one more of this ayahuasca weird dude. Still hadn't seen his wife. Y'all still think he's married, or y'all think he's making this up? Tarps off, boys. There's a movement going around all the sports where a section starts with a couple of dudes take their shirts off, Petey Pabloing it around in the air, and more lads join them. It was such a big trend at the St. Louis Cardinals that their manager bought tickets for the guys to come back and do it again. He loved it so much. Jacob Mizrowski struck out 12, defeating said St. Louis Cardinals, and he also, this is insane, never heard of, don't know how to really handle it, because at one point I think it's the coolest thing, but the other point I just worry about his poor arm. But he had 57 pitches over 100 miles per hour. How do you hit that? Well, the Cardinals didn't. And B, how do you sustain that? Like, I know he's young and his arm's like, woo, look what I can do. But how do you keep that going, bro? I know Chapman did it is still doing it, you know, so it can be done, but whew, that poor arm. Northwestern won women's lacrosse. Princeton won men's lacrosse first championship since 2001 for the Princeton men's lacrosse team. UCLA is the top seed in the men's College World Series, and the women's College World Series is set. We got a great first-round matchup there with Alabama playing UCLA. Big home runs on both teams, so that'll be fun to watch. Arkansas faces off against Nebraska. Texas squares off with Tennessee, and Texas Tech is battling the underdog, the Cinderella of it all, Mississippi State, because they knocked off Oklahoma, defending champion. Oklahoma. So kudos for them. We love the World Series in the Harrison household, so I cannot wait. The racing world lost a legend, whether you liked him or you didn't. You respected him because he was just that type of dude. RIP to Kyle Busch. Just loved within the community and outside, had that mainstream crossover appeal. And it's just sad to think that, a couple of kids lost their dad. Like, that's devastating. They said he died from extreme pneumonia that caused sepsis. So another just crap way to go, man. So thoughts and prayers to the Busch family. The Dallas Mavericks are moving on from Jason Kidd as their head coach. So what a nightmare of an organization. You got rid of Luka Doncic. You brought in AD. He's already gone. Your other star, Kyrie Irving, hadn't played since 2010. You fired your GM. Now you got rid of your coach. Where y'all go from here? Like, I feel like if Mark Cuban was still in charge, he'd have somewhat of a game plan. But, like, are we really seeing this come to fruition? Like, we heard the rumblings that the ownership was mad they couldn't build a casino in Dallas. So are they burning Dallas to the ground in protest? Going to be a real interesting season for Cooper, Flagg, and company in Dallas. Over in the NBA playoffs, the Knicks just destroyed the Cavs by 37, sweeping them. They've been on a roll this last 11 games, man. It's crazy to think that the Hawks gave them the biggest trouble so far. So we'll see if they can go up against San Antonio or Oklahoma City, who are knotted at 2-2. And man, that series is living up to the hype. You got OKC punching them in the face. You got Wemby punching. It's just great basketball. So if you are still missing out, I don't know why. Go check out OKC and San Antonio. And then we got a great matchup waiting for us in the finals with the Knicks playing lights out as they are. But they got to go sit for a little bit, and that never does anybody any good. Vegas are cruising against Colorado. Didn't see that coming. Vegas up 3-0 on the Avs. They have a chance to sweep them tonight. That's insane. And over in the Eastern Conference, my Hurricanes won in 0-2 last night, so they take a 2-1 series lead over Montreal Canadiens. And that is our show for this week. Thank you guys for tuning in at the end of May. We're heading into June full steam ahead, so I hope you are figuring it out. Be nice to yourself if you're not quite getting there. I understand. I almost didn't find the oomph to record this week, so I get it. Give yourself some leeway. Give yourself some credit for just getting up and doing things some days, And be nice to people. Guys, the world's on fire. Just be nice. Because remember, we're all weird. It's way more fun when we're weird together. See you next time.